Hey guys, this is iTower, and today we've got something big. A brand new release from the Qwen team, it's Qwen 3, and it's not just a regular update, it's a massive leap forward in AI model design. So let's break it down. Qwen 3 is the latest large language model in the Qwen family. And what's cool is, they've released multiple versions, from the tiny 600 million parameter model all the way up to this absolute beast. That's 235 billion parameters in total, with 22 billion activated at runtime. It's competing with models like Grok 3, DeepSeek R1, and Gemini 2.5 Pro. And it's not just about the big models. Even their smaller one, the Qwen 330B, outperforms other models that activate way more parameters. They've seriously optimized performance here. Even Qwen 3.4b performs on par with older giants like Qwen 2.5. Now, here's something I think is super smart. Qwen 3 introduces what they call hybrid thinking modes. That means you can pick how you want the model to think. In thinking mode, it reasons step by step, really useful for complex questions, but in non-thinking mode, it skips the deep reasoning and gives you lightning fast answers. So you get to control how much thought power you want to use, which also means better efficiency when you need it. Next, let's talk about how it was trained. Qwen 3 was pre-trained on 36 trillion tokens. That's double what Qwen 2.5 had. They used everything: web content, PDFs, math data, code examples, even had previous models like Qwen 2.5 extract and clean up data for better quality. And the pre-training process was done in 3 stages, gradually improving the dataset, boosting context length up to 32,000 tokens, which means it can handle huge inputs, now perfect for long documents or code files. Now in post-training, they built this hybrid model with a 4-stage pipeline. First, it learned long step-by-step reasoning, then went through reinforcement learning, then fused in fast response capability, and finally polished everything with a general RL phase. In result, a model that can think like a researcher but also chat like a friend. And yeah, Qwen 3 is open weight. You can grab it right now. Use it on Hugging Face, Model Scope, Kaggle. So now let's move on to the practical side and see exactly how it works in action. When we open the interface, we see the usual input field where we can type in our message or query. It's simple and familiar, so you can start right away. But there are also some extra options here, like deep research, artifacts, and a few others meant for more advanced tasks or technical deep dives. In this video though, we'll keep things straightforward. We won't go into those advanced tools just yet. Instead, we'll focus on how Qwen 3 performs in a basic, everyday query, something most users would try out first when getting to know the model. You'll also notice there's a profile configuration option, which is great if you want to personalize your interaction, whether it's adjusting the tone or choosing how the model responds. And just a heads up, for this walkthrough, we'll be using the latest version of Qwen 3, which you can see listed right at the top of the screen. We're going to write a simple prompt and ask Qwen 3 to build us a small web app using plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Something like a weather app, lightweight, functional, and perfect for testing how well it understands and generates real code. We'll also mention in the prompt that we want it to look good, so not just any role layout, but something with a clean and modern visual design. That way we can see how Qwen handles both functionality and UI styling in one go. As soon as we hit enter, we can see Qwen 3 instantly starts generating a response. It gives us a quick explanation of what it's about to do. Looks like it's going to build a weather app using the OpenWeatherMap API, which is a pretty common and reliable choice for this kind of task. Then, it outlines the structure of the project, showing us how the app will be organized. And right after that, it jumps straight into the code. We've got 3 main parts: the HTML to build the layout, the CSS to style everything nicely, and the JavaScript to handle the actual functionality, like fetching the weather data and displaying it on the screen. Now let's make a small adjustment. Instead of using the OpenWeatherMap API, let's ask Qwen 3 to generate a test data set for us. This will save us time from having to generate an API key and waiting for access. It's just a temporary solution for now, so we can focus on the structure and functionality of the app without any delays. Once it's ready, we'll have a mock-up of weather data that behaves just like real data. Let's see how it handles this change. We can see that Qwen 3 created a test dataset with a sample city name, temperature, humidity, wind speed, and a weather description like clear sky. It also showed exactly where and what we need to replace in the code, which is really helpful. Everything is displayed in the UI: city name, temperature in Celsius, humidity, wind speed, and the weather description. There's also a function to update the weather icon based on the condition. So let's now move this into our project files and keep going. Alright, let's now run everything using HTTP server so we can launch the project in the browser and take a closer look at the result. This will let us see how the UI looks and make sure the test data is being displayed correctly. We can see that the design isn't quite up to par, especially when we compare it with what we get from models like Grok or Claude. The visual implementation here feels a bit minimal and underwhelming. Also, there seems to be an issue because the data isn't rendering properly on the page. So let's take a look under the hood, try to spot what's going wrong, and fix it. Turns out, I had inserted part of the code incorrectly, which caused the display issues. But after fixing it, we can now see that everything renders correctly. The design feels quite empty overall. It definitely lacks content and visual richness compared to more polished apps. While we do have some basic hover effects on the buttons and a soft glass style card, there isn't much going on in terms of layout variety or interactive elements. In terms of functionality, it's also quite basic. We just have a single weather card that displays a few pieces of data like temperature, humidity, wind speed. There's no dynamic user interaction beyond that, no additional views or deeper info. It gets the job done but keeps things very simple. Now, let's ask it to improve both the functionality and the visual part of the app. We'll request some enhancements to make the design more polished and interactive, while also adding more features to make the app more functional and user-friendly. We can see that Qwen has added some new information, along with significant improvements to both the visual and functional aspects of the app. Starting with the visual side, if we look at the updated styles, we can notice a few more elements added to enhance the user experience. The design is a bit more sophisticated now, with some new features to improve the look and feel. There are new background effects, smoother transitions, and generally a more polished aesthetic. It's clear that Qwen has spent a bit more time on the design details, making it visually more appealing. All we need to do now is replace our existing code with the updated one, and we're good to go. On the functional side, Qwen has added a bit more depth to the app. The functionality has been expanded slightly, adding some new interactions and features. However, the underlying structure is still quite basic. There's nothing overly complex or difficult to understand here. The code remains straightforward, which means it's still easy to work with. While there's more functionality now, it doesn't bring anything too complicated to the table. Essentially, we have a more feature-rich application, but it's still simple enough to maintain and modify. We ran into a few errors in the console, so I decided to ask Qwen to help us fix them. After making those adjustments, the errors were successfully resolved, and everything seems to be running smoothly now. With the issues cleared up, we can now take a look at the final result. The app is functioning as expected, with all the elements working properly. The data is being displayed correctly, the design looks more polished, and overall, the functionality is more robust than before. It's nice to see that the errors were addressed quickly, and we now have a fully working version of the app. Overall, the result is decent, but there are areas for improvement. It's functional, but not as polished as it could be. Comparing it to something like Claude, the difference is noticeable in how the app behaves, the design, and the finer details of user experience. While Qwen 3 managed to generate a basic weather app, it still has some rough edges. The design is simple, but not as refined, and the functionality could be more advanced. It's a solid start, but when compared to models like Claude, the difference in performance is clear. With some fine-tuning, it could improve significantly. And that's all for today. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching. If you found this useful, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.